No,
they
the
were like Walmart quality.
Good morning, everyone. Adrian from Audio Excellence Canada. Hope you're doing well. We haven't done a video in quite a long time, so this will be interesting to do. So today we've got two videos. We'll do the Apertura Swing first. Now, Alex will put the link to a previous Apertura. I think it's called the Sensa, right? We did a Sensa before, so you can watch that video if you haven't already.
Unless YouTube's already deleted the video.
No, apparently it's still there.
But they deleted the one we had 300,000 views.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Sensa. Well, so let me cover some of the basics first. Apertura is a 35-year-old French company. The chief designer, is a gentleman by the name of Christian Vian, who also designed for Goldman, Sonus, Faber, and Focal.
Must have been like a teenager when you designed for Goldman.
I guess he's not a young person like you and me. I guess maybe a little bit older. I don't know.
But is he as well preserved?
I guess. The Swing is a two-way bookshelf speaker. The woofer is 16 centimeters, woofer mid-range, I should say, made of woven polypropylene strips. I was going to say stiffs. Strips for stiffness, lightness, and good damping. I'm just quoting the website here. Long moving coil for linear excursion, also for lower bass and higher power, I assume. And then radial stiffeners on the suspension. Alex will take a picture of that and show you. If you look at the I guess it's made of rubber, right? Suspension, you'll see these radial. It looks like it's a 2.5 centimeter ring radiator tweeter, soft dome tweeter, which at one time was very, very popular.
Right, and it's got like this point
the little
on
pointy
it.
nipple.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, dampens the high frequencies.
Yeah. And then they've got a crossover, proprietary, they call it the DRIM, D-R-I-M crossover with triple attenuation slopes. As I understand it, most companies will use either a crossover with one slope, maybe two slopes. In other words, maybe something a little bit more gentle and then something a little bit steeper, or more steep and then a little bit more gentle. They've got three slopes, apparently.
My understanding is that they adjust
the
crossover for each speaker.
And that's their technology. Specifications 48 to 40,000 cycles, plus or minus 3 decibels. I call BS to this. 40,000 cycles on a soft dome tweeter.
Yeah, that's a lot, but it's got that point, so maybe it's like really beaming it at you.
Richard's going to hate me after I say
Richard already hates you.
Yeah. Richard is the agent.
We didn't get 200 hours on this, really.
We'll get to that in a second. No, we'll get to that in a second. 8 ohms, 87 decibels sensitivity, 190 millimeter wide, 310 millimeter deep, and 280 millimeter high, or 7.5 inches wide, 12 inches deep, and 11 inches high. 7.6 kilograms or 16.7 pounds. This is welcome. Remember all the heavy stuff we've recently had to move in and lift? And
wow.
Alex is laughing because he's had to move all this nonsense that we've had recently. So this is a welcome.
One of them sitting right behind him and you, like that giant Acora.
Yeah, this is a welcome relief. As a matter of fact, just in front of my foot, Alex will show a picture of this black granite stand that we just received courtesy of Acora. Thank you very much, Val. I think weighs like 250 pounds for this stand. It's insane. Price, the enclosure, if you look carefully on the back, they're rounded. And price is $29.99 for satin cherry Canadian. High gloss black and white is $2,899. Okay, so that's the end of the specifications. So to elaborate on Philip's point, we received the speakers approximately a week and a half ago. And so we immediately unboxed it, put them face to face. I spared the rest of you from the whole unboxing, video. We were going to do another one, but we decided to spare you. Anyway, so we put them face to face, as we normally do, invert one of the speaker terminals and then let it break in. And somehow Richard, our erstwhile distributor for Apertura, found out that we were going to do the review, and he called the guys and sent me an email and say, please do not review the speakers until after about 200 hours because the speakers don't sound quite as good. And by right around that time, I told the guys, let's do a review of it. And around that time, we were thinking it was going to be about 150 hours or so. So being the ornery person that I am, I said, you know what, screw Richard. Let's do the review and say that it sucks because it's only got 150 hours.
I think we got to 197 hours.
Exactly. So, Richard, it sucks because it's 197
sucks,
hours.
Yeah, 197 hours. We couldn't spare 3 more hours to burn that thing in.
Yeah. But anyway, we actually did go past 200 hours because of all the logistical issues we've had in the last little while. We've been so very busy. So, yes, the speakers are now over 200 hours. We were hoping, at least I was hoping, that the guys would have had a chance to hear the speakers before 200 hours, so around about 150 or so, and then compare it at 200 and tell me if they actually heard any meaningful difference. I didn't get a chance to because I've been in and out of the office so much. Lewis indicates that he did. So why don't we start with Lewis? Lewis, what did you hear before and after?
Okay, so at 150 hours, as the famous song said, I left my heart in San Francisco, and the first thought I had was, I left the bass when it was shipped in France because there was no bass.
No bias, man.
No
bias.
And I'm going, this sounds terrible. The voicing was terrible. I said, no, I was going to come to you and says, I don't want to do this review at all. Saturday, after it's broken in, after the 200 hours, oh my gosh, it's a transformation. It's unbelievable. The soundstage is huge. Center image is dead on.
Wow.
And I'm shocked because I could not believe the transformation of this speaker here after 200 hours. So Richard, you are right.
So just to put things in perspective, Lewis is one of the most skeptical people I know in the sense that you can't put it past him, right? He will believe you. He's a very easygoing guy and so on. But the moment that you lie to him once, that's it. He'll be very skeptical about anything you say. So for him to say that counts for a lot.
He is Jamaican.
He is Jamaican.
So to further my point of how good this speaker sounded, on Saturday, we had 2 potential clients come in. One wanted to make an offer on the black, and he loved it. And there is another gentleman who brought his son in, could not believe the soundstage. He says, oh my gosh, it was so wide. He goes, wow. It was a wow factor on the soundstage. And the speaker sounds amazing now. So definitely this speaker here really sounds good. There was some bass now coming out of the speaker, and the top end was always there. The voicing, which I did not like when I heard it first on Wednesday, has changed. As I said, the transformation is huge.
Wow. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, Alex, can you shout a little bit? Tell me what you told me when you first unboxed the speakers and hooked them up.
So I got a chance to listen to the speakers right outside of the box, and at 150 hours, and at past 200. And out of the box, I could not believe how bad they were. Like, I'd imagine if you put an electric current through a piece of cardboard.
Were they a bit screechy?
They were like Walmart quality.
Can you imagine?
Oh, we got to put that in the trailer. Walmart quality.
No. People may just stop.
No, I want that. Walmart quality. I love
well
that.
indoctrinated now.
Yeah.
Walmart quality. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That would be something that Philip would say. How did that come from you?
It was actually that bad at 150. Like at first, when you guys talk about breaking stuff in, I never experienced it myself. Like I never really kind of believed in it until I heard it at 150. The difference was huge. Like actually, I thought it was like a different speaker after it breaking in. And then at 200, I couldn't really tell as big of a difference, but It's a nice little
Warm,
speaker.
Walmart quality. I gotta use that from now on.
Wow. signature sound.
They don't sell. Anyways,
So, Philip, what did you think?
that's your review, Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a very positive experience with when we listened to the Sensa, and I quite liked it versus other people who didn't like it quite so
That's
much.
right.
Adrian.
Yes.
And I really liked that speaker with some of my 80s stuff. It just kind of disappeared in a way that I wasn't expecting for such an inexpensive speaker. So there is some confirmation bias when I went to listen to the Swing the other day, which was like yesterday. I came in yesterday on my day off and listened for a few hours, but that was good because there was like no telephones ringing. There were only like I think one delivery truck pulled up to the store to try and pick up something, and I had to send them away. So more or less, I was able to listen to the speaker uninterrupted. I did not listen to the speaker beforehand because I know what those effects are, and I wanted my confirmation bias to be, what Richard was telling me, which he said, it was really, 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 really good at 200 hours. I had previously heard the speaker at the Toronto Audio Fest last October in Richard's room. He had a fair-size hotel room at the convention center, or the hotel, whatever, and he was using a Hago H590 to drive it.
590.
Yeah, 590. And he was playing vinyl on one of his new Horizon turntables. It was exquisite. It was really exquisite. It just totally disappeared. Big giant soundstage. The resolution seemed much finer than the price point. So that's a big thing in its favor. I heard all those things again. We used the H190. We had Nordos Red Dawn on it, and we're just basically using the streamer in the 190. That's the way I heard it. Working here makes you so jaded. You expect it to be great. You always expect it to be great. And then maybe that's not fair. And I don't like to A-B, but I had to A-B because I was listening to it, and I was actually turning it up. I had it up to about 70, which is pretty loud on the Hago. And like your mind plays tricks with you, and you're listening to it, and you go like, is this really as good as I think it is? Is it really as good? And I put in some other candidates, and I played the same tracks. I'm not going to go through the tracks. They're basically all the same tracks I normally play. So the Swing is very truthful, and I'm playing my tracks. I put on the other two speakers that we have here. I won't mention what they are, but we know what they are. And instantly, something happened badly because all the resolution I was like enjoying was gone. Everything sounded coarse, and especially the one speaker had a very flat soundstage, big bass but very flat soundstage. The other speaker had was improved over the one that with a very flat soundstage, and then I put the Swing back on, and everything kind of fell back into place. So this is what I heard. The speaker is quite exquisite. It has an extremely fine resolution. I wouldn't say it's like Wilson or upper end Sonus Faber or something like that, or even Magnepan in that sense, but it's got much more than you expect to hear from that little tiny box. And it is a little tiny box. It's not very big. Big soundstage, exquisite imaging. It had a kind of velvety quality right through the mid-range. It was just a pleasure to listen to. The only caveat I have about this speaker that kind of bothered me was that, yes, I had it turned all the way up to 70. The sensitivity is a bit low, as you would expect with a small speaker, because it's, as you stated, it's 87. It seems actually lower than that. I was pushing it pretty hard. With tracks like Hey Now by London Grammar, you really don't hear the bass. The bass is almost non-existent. That's the difference between this small speaker and the slightly bigger brother, the Sensa. The Sensa has a much bigger box. You get some semblance of it. I don't know if it's going down to 48 hertz, but it's, I mean, maybe 70 that it really starts to lose some momentum in terms of mass. So that's the only caveat I have, is that speaker does everything really well in a beautiful way. It's very joyful, but it's kind of small scale because the dynamics of the way it presents itself is kind of compressed, and you can't really push it that hard. I tried to push it really hard, and it just didn't like it. You could hear that it got to a certain point, and because it can only play so loud, obviously, everything compresses, and it sounds a bit. It doesn't sound muffled. It just doesn't sound powerful. And with other small speakers I've heard, you can maybe get a sense of that, but this speaker does everything else well, and you're listening to it. You definitely you want to add like maybe a subwoofer or something like that to it. I would definitely recommend that kind of a setup, and I normally wouldn't. So
interesting.
2 thumbs up.
Okay.
No, that was to be for last.
Oh, well, we can do it again.
Yeah.
Just cut me out.
Okay, so let's see what I said. I found it warm, rich, pretty nice microdynamics. So in other words, the jump factor from in the lower volumes was very, very good. I did find the highs slightly muted for my taste. Maybe it's the room, because the room that
It's really well damped.
yeah, it's very well damped, and most everything in that room sounds a little bit damped and a little bit muted. So it could be the room for sure. So I did wish it was slightly more airy. But again, the caveat could be the room. As Villa pointed out, very good low-level resolution. So there's a cut. Most audiophiles know it's Shelby Lynn's Just a Little Lovin'. I don't know how the album was recorded, but I suspect it was an analog recording to tape, because there's something called pre-echo. I don't know if any of you remember what pre-echo is, but if you were to listen to records, sometimes in between quiet notes, you'll actually hear the next word or song or phrase about a half second before. That's basically what's called pre-echo. So at 126, that's something that I've noticed for a long time, but just never made any mention of. You will hear the pre-echo quite clearly on these speakers, whereas with some other speakers, it's a little bit more muted. So it definitely has very, very good low-level resolution. I said here, aptly named swing, because I found myself tapping my feet on a lot. So sort of the whole Lynn name, pace, rhythm, and timing thing. Very, very good that way. Very good space delineation. The guys have covered that. Very good soundstage and depth. So I'll give you a couple of examples here. Katie Tunstall, Feel It All. You've got a really nice separation of depth between vocals and the drum. Ingrid Michelson and Scott Person, The Way I Am, a very clearly defined acoustic bass, tom-tom, and vocals. Deep bass was, non-existent, but mid bass and upper bass was pretty good. There's a cut called Bubbles. I've been playing it quite a bit. Yoshi Horikawa, very atmospheric, transients with power. Morph the Cat. I haven't heard this wherever, but it was there in my playlist. I played it. Donald Fagen, nice bass, depth, and power. Again, not the deep bass, but overall not bad at all. One cut that I've also been playing quite a bit, Kiss the Rain by Yuruma. It's a piano piece, beautiful melody. It's very neutral and accurate. You can hear very clearly the moment that the first note plays, you'll know this is a real piano. It's not a synthesizer, not a really, really good sample from a synthesizer. You know it's a piano. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's very neutral that way. Negatives. I found it a little bit laid back. So if I played a cut that I'm familiar with that's typically more intimate, I found it a little bit laid back. It's not a negative thing necessarily, just a little bit more laid back. As I said earlier, not quite as airy as I'd like it to. Again, it could be the room. I also did find that it was a bit sensitive to positioning. So in the room, the way it's set up right now, if I move my head further forward, I found that I preferred it that way. So I would prefer it towed in a little bit less than the way we have it, which is not like towed right into the ears or crossing over at the nose or at the face, but rather I'd like it slightly towed in less personally. So that's my.
Did you find it dynamically challenged when you pushed it?
Macro, yes. Very soft to very loud, dynamically compressed for sure, and definitely at high volumes. So like I didn't go as high as 70, but I did notice that I wanted to push it up to about 60, 65 or so to really get it to give me the deep bass that I was missing. But again, I want to sort of caveated by saying I realize it's a two-way small bookshelf, so I didn't expect it to go that low. The only reason I kept wanting to do that was because the specifications say 43, and right at the beginning I said I call BS. More the highs than the lows, but still I don't think it does comfortably. If it goes down to 43, it's got to be like minus 10 or it's got to be like minus 10 dB. I don't think it's minus.
But as
3.
Philip says though, it would be pretty good with a sub. Like a fairly fast sub would really bring out
like one of those obviously one of the Gravises from
well, the thing is this,
Faber.
we have the speakers in that room 5-6 feet from the wall, so it's got almost no front wall or rear wall gain, whereas I think the average person using these speakers would have the speakers much closer to the wall. And the reason that we have it that far from the wall is partly logistics. We've got this big credenza where the screen is, so the speakers, if you put the speakers right there, you've got this cavity effect. It makes everything sound chesty and heavy. So you pull the speakers out so it doesn't sound that way, but then when you do that, you lose some of the room gain. So I would think that the speakers would be under normal circumstances be better. But yeah, I other than those small minor.
Did you compare it to anything else?
Yes, as I suggested we should, and pretty much like you, I didn't change my mind with regards to the other speaker in question. There's not a slag. I just think that the Swing is overall a better speaker. And again, it may come off wrong. It's not meant to. I do prefer the Swing overall for what it does well. Yeah.
I agree. How we're going to vote on this one?
Well, I already voted.
2 thumbs up. I'll give it 1.5 only because I dispute the specification, the frequency response specification. I want to see it on paper. Actual measurements.
Let's just measure it. Let's just measure it.
Anyway, well, thanks for watching all of this. As usual, by the way, if you'd like our playlists, mine is $10, Phillips is $20, and I think Lewis is still working on it.
Lewis has one song on his playlist. I put it on the playlist.
He hasn't added it to his playlist yet. But yeah, if you'd like to get our playlist, just send the money to your favorite charity, take a picture of the receipt, email it to info@audioexcellence.ca. We'll send you a copy of our playlist. And thank you for supporting it. The money that we get from YouTube, we match and donate to the Salvation Army. So thanks again for watching this, and we'll see you again next time. Adrian from Audio Excellence Canada, Philip and Lewis and Alex behind the controls. See you again next time. Bye-bye.